Our guest today on Meet the Press is Miss Bernadette Devlin, the 22-year-old Irish Catholic militant elected last April to the British Parliament, where she is the youngest member of the House of Commons. Miss Devlin has been playing a leading role in the recent conflict which brought Northern Ireland to the verge of civil war. We'll have the first questions now from Douglas Kiker of NBC News.
Miss Devlin, as I understand it, your position concerning the long-range role of Northern Ireland is that you would like to see British control continue there until some sort of all-Irish plebiscite could decide the proper future of Northern Ireland. Isn't this another way of saying that you would really like to see Northern Ireland united with the South, and wouldn't this lead to a real all-out civil war?
I have always said that I believe the social, cultural and economic problems of Northern Ireland, and the present problem is a mixture of all three, can only be solved when the ideals of James Connolly, Padraig Pearse are realised, and that is the establishing in Ireland of a 32-county republic. This is different from simply saying we want to join the South. I wouldn't ask anybody to simply go in to the present structure of the 26 counties. Economically, it couldn't support 6 more economically depressed counties. Socially and culturally, it couldn't absorb the Ulster tradition, both Catholic and Protestant, nor could it guarantee the liberty of the Protestant heritage. But under a 32-county republic, as outlined by Connolly, it could, all men would have equal rights, equal opportunities, civil and religious liberty.
Do you believe for a moment that the Protestants in Northern Ireland would accept a United States of Ireland?
I think they would, because the reason the mass of the Protestant people in Ulster are frightened of a united Ireland is because of what they understand by a united Ireland, what they've been told by a unionist government that a united Ireland means. To them it means Catholic domination. To them it means losing British standards. But what they fail to realise is that nobody in Ulster, except the Protestant rich, that is the landed gentry, have any privileges anyway, and that they couldn't, under any system, be worse than the system we now all suffer.
Miss Devlin, I was in Northern Ireland for the Troubles, and I saw Protestants and Catholics walking the streets side by side, wearing white armbands, trying to keep the peace. You were manning the barricades. In view of your position as a member of Parliament, were you in the right place?
I think I was in the right place, because it depends on what you understand by a member of Parliament. I was elected to Parliament by 68,000 people. I took it I was the servant of those people. Therefore, it was up to me to represent their interests, to defend their interests, and to protect them. Now, this could be done in Parliament, when Parliament was sitting, when Parliament was listening, and prepared to act on their problems. When Parliament wasn't there, and no longer prepared to pay any attention, that didn't say I could take my holidays and say I'll represent people who suffer 24 hours a day when Parliament decides to sit and act on its responsibilities.
Miss Devlin, I find that very interesting, but here we are in the United States. What do you think the United States could or should do in this situation? Do you, for instance, have any plans to see President Nixon while you're here?
Well, about plans, we're working it out in such an emergency because I simply came here that I don't know who, in fact, I'll be able to see when I'm here. If I can see President Nixon, I will see President Nixon, and I'll see him on 2 counts. One, because my first reason for coming here is that we urgently need money. I'm sure that President Nixon has some, and I'm prepared to accept money from anybody who has money and is prepared to give it to people who need it. And the other point is that I think that America should realise that America supplies the guns to the British government, who supply the arms to the Royal Ulster Constabulary, who supply the arms to the B Specials, who shoot people in Northern Ireland with it.
Yes, but who are you, may I ask? Because you call your organization, I believe, the People's Democracy. When I was in Derry and the Bogside a few days ago, an organization called the Derry Citizens Defense Association handed me a pass. One hears a good deal about the IRA and a lot of other organizations. Could you clarify this organizational picture?
If I were to try and clarify the organizational picture, we would probably be here till this time next year. But briefly, if I can run down on them, the People's Democracy was a basically student group formed after the 1st March and the 5th of October. Civil Rights Association is the umbrella group for all the groups in Northern Ireland. The Defence Association was formed when the barricades went up to coordinate all the groups inside the barricades, so that the Defence Association is representative of the People's Democracy, the Citizens Action Committee, the Tenants Association, all the organisations that are inside.
And the IRA?
The IRA is a peculiar body of men well known in the history and mythology of Ireland. My own attitude is that given the structure of the IRA, which according to the Unionist government is a subversive organisation, you don't walk up to people and say he's in the IRA, because if you could identify people like that, they'd all be in Crumlin, where known Republicans are at the minute, simply because of their political beliefs. I don't think the IRA is represented in the Defence Association.
Well, there's not a Protestant in all of Northern Ireland who doesn't firmly believe that the IRA, the rebel Irish Army, didn't play an active part in the disorders of the last 2 weeks. Now, to your personal knowledge, was the IRA involved?
The IRA was not, to my personal knowledge, involved in the Bogside, because what happened in the Bogside was that people threw up the barricades, and the men, women and children who lived in the area defended the area against the police. Now, there may have been a man who lived there who was also in the IRA, but even then it was as a resident he was fighting.
As long as I'm talking about Protestant beliefs, I think it's accurate to say that there's not a Protestant in all of Northern Ireland who doesn't think that a lot of money for Catholic arms comes from the United States. Now, Ms. Devlin, you're here to raise money. What assurances can you give to people who give you money that this money will not be used for weapons?
On a simple logical basis, you can't ask either starving children or dead men to shoot. Well, we need a lot of money. We need money for things that really matter. And the things that really matter to me are that women and children are living somewhere in the south of Ireland, families are divided, and the men are defending their homes. Their homes are burnt to the ground. People don't have homes to live in anymore. Now, it is much more important to me that you get a house built, that you get food to those people, that you get clothing to people whose belongings have been burnt out, that you try and create a normal society again for people who have been scattered, than that you go around helping to destroy more homes.
I've seen your Catholic neighborhoods, and I know that they're in desperate straits. I've also seen the Protestant neighborhoods with burned-out homes. Who did that? These were not on the barricades now. These were back in the neighborhoods. Somebody had to go in and throw firebombs, and I don't think they did it themselves.
I don't think they did it themselves. I'm quite prepared to believe that people burnt out Protestant homes and people burnt out Catholic homes, and I lay the blame, firstly, on the Unionist government that turned Catholic Irishmen against Protestant Irishmen to keep itself in power and to keep both in poverty. When I go back to Northern Ireland, if I see someone who hasn't got a home, do you think that I am going to say, I'm sorry, we only build homes for Catholics? We build homes for people who are homeless because they are all Irishmen. And we will unite Irishmen against a power that has divided them for 50 years.